Morning Intuitives, my typical pre-work video. Um, Thanks, new subscribers again. If you haven't subscribed and you like my videos, please like and subscribe. I'd like to get over that 1,000 threshold so, I can make a few pennies and more importantly, so these videos can actually not be completely screwed over by the algorithm and maybe get to a few more people to whom they may help. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Please feel free to share these videos. And as you saw in the title, we're doing another INFJ topic today. And this one's a little personal to me, and I did a little reading on it because I first got this idea reading in an INFJ forum. So, why do some INFJs, particularly demisexual INFJs, and more broadly speaking, demisexuals in general? This video is going to be really about INFJs because that's my perspective. But if you are a demisexual of another feeler type like ENFP, ENFJ, INFP, you might want to watch this too because while it's not going to be exactly the same for you, I would say more of this is going to hit home than isn't. And it's just, demisexuals in general and intuitive feeler types. Where there's just not that many of us. We live in a world built for sensors. But anyway, why do some demisexual INFJs give up on love? Well, the short answer is we live in a hookup culture now where love, loyalty, unconditional love, deep connections isn't valued. It's all about, surface appearance, looks and money. Looks, money, throw in status, that kind of goes hand in hand with money. So that is the world we live in now where, forever is like 2 to 5 years, apparently. And for us, demisexuals, and particularly demisexual INFJs, that's just a no-go. INFJs of all kinds, we never really, want that casual fling, that one-night stand, that friends with benefits. We essentially have been looking for our soulmates since we hit puberty. Yes, it's been a long, long journey. My great odyssey. But the idea of settling or being somebody's plaything or fling and being used is absolutely abhorrent to us, although it does inevitably happen because everybody gets played, especially in their younger days. However, INFJs are pretty good about learning from that and not repeating the same patterns because we see patterns better than everybody. And, while I said this is certainly true for me, I wouldn't say give up, but there's been a couple times in my life where I just wasn't looking. I'm like, bah, nothing's out there. Nah. Especially, I'm in one of them now because I'm once again trapped in Chester County, Pennsylvania, where I know that, there is no one for me. Pretty certain about that. You can get on, oh, this could be, yeah, someone from somewhere else could move here, I suppose. But in general, there's nobody here for me. Because this is a very, materialistic, keeping up with the Joneses kind of area that also views, many of the people in Chester County view Chester County as the whole world. So, I'm not rich and I want to leave the area. Immediate disqualifiers. Except for people looking for flings. I get those offers all the time, most recently from college-age girls, which infuriates college-age boys I date with, and they threaten to kill me, tell me what a waste I am, and how they'd like to be me. Oh, no, they would not. Some of them may indeed, who are more average looking and heavy set may wish they looked like me, but I know they would not want to be trapped in my head. That's the thing. A lot of INFJs would probably agree with that. The people that want to be INFJs don't understand what it's like to be trapped in the mind of an INFJ. But this idea of INFJs, giving up on finding unconditional love isn't unique to 35-year-old, barely scraping by ex-firefighters who wrongfully lost their job. No. This can extend even to the rich and famous among our ranks. So when I was reading about this on the forum, I looked into this online and tried to search INFJs giving up on love. And I really wanted a female perspective. And lo and behold, I came to a pretty good example. Now, it's not someone I know a lot about, but I know she's an INFJ, and she's famous, even though I've never seen any of her movies. I know of them. You would think a male witch would watch movies about witches and wizards. You'd think so, but no. So, it's Emma Watson. She's an INFJ. She's a Sigma female INFJ who is also the same age as me. And people know who she is, and she is very pretty, and she's very famous. So, what the problem is? Why is she single? Well, she gave an interview or something where she talked about being self-partnered and not being able to basically find someone willing to make that deep connection. And as I said, that's a struggle can be a struggle for all INFJs. You would think somebody as rich and famous, as beautiful as Emma Watson would have, any guy she wanted. Yeah, for the wrong reasons, perhaps. This is all intuition, but being that she's an INFJ, I'm sure it crosses her mind like, would this guy give me the time of day if I wasn't a celebrity like him? Would this non-celebrity be interested in me if I wasn't a celebrity? So she, on top of the regular INFJ shit, has to go through that sort of paradox where the rich famous guys, would they be interested in her if she too wasn't in the club? And would the non famous guys that somehow have the balls to ask somebody like her out, that is pretty ballsy move, can they try to strike up a conversation with her without mentioning her job basically? And would they get the time of day? But I guess her struggle would possibly be is to find someone who's interested in her not because of what her job is. And that gets hard, I suppose, for someone in that situation. And also for all INFJs of any economic background or status background, dating apps don't work that well for us because it's mainly people looking for quick hookups, casual flings, and friends with benefits. And that can be true of all dating apps. Yes, friends of mine have signed me up for a bunch over the years, sporadically. And even for rich people like Emma Watson, I'm going to assume that's the case. I have a little insight into that. I've mentioned, I have an older couple I'm friends with and their daughter. These are like blue blood types, and their daughter is about my age and single. And given that she is from a blue blood family and she's a two-time Olympian in her own right, she was able to get on that like rich and famous people dating app Raya, and she was on it for a month and said it was basically the same as any other dating app. People looking for the same things. It was just people with more money. So, she showed me some of the profiles, which are supposed to be super secret, like the Scientology OT levels. But it was a lot of the same, like dude bro shit. I mean, yeah, they had fancier cars and some of the dudes were better looking, but they were acting the same as the the douchebag at Vanguard who makes 50, 60K a year, or the salesman trying to get that commish, bro, kind of thing. So for INFJs of any background, the idea that nobody out there is looking to form that like deep, soulful, lasting connection, that every connection people want to make are based on, sexuality and physicality. That idea, after a while, especially, when you reach your mid-30s, like myself and Emma Watson, makes one wonder, is it even worth it? Is there even still a chance at this stage of the game? And another concept that really eats at INFJs is we overthink our past. Like many INFJs and intuitive feelers in general, that are single at my age, would wonder, is that, was your first love your only shot? Like a lot of us, dated the same person like throughout high school or perhaps college or the majority of that time. And, it didn't work out shortly after graduation, usually within a year. There's a reason for that because high school and college are not the real world. You're living in an artificial environment with tons of free time, less responsibility, and are surrounded by mostly people within a few years of your age. So, yeah, that's unsustainable when you get out in the real world and got work and bills and you're not in that insulated school environment anymore. And people grow. People usually don't change that much, but people become much more comfortable with who they are and what they want and become better at expressing themselves. So it is unlikely one would, continuously grow with the person that you started dating at like 17, they very well and most probably were the one for your like teen years, and by that I mean high school and college. But again, life experiences, you become more aware of who you are, you stand up for yourself better, etc. So that idea that a lot of INFJs face is, did I blow my one chance long ago? And the answer to that is most likely no. But there is another paradox for us in this, and that we're not the most social people. Like, so the idea of, the probability of meeting new people outside our orbit, yeah, it's not so good. And the chances of an INFJ meeting that, elusive blue rose at work or, within like their circle at the gym, highly improbable. From what I've seen anecdotally, the happiest couples that I know are the ones where somebody had to make a sacrifice for them to be together. Usually somebody moved. It's usually not the ones where you already work together, you're in the same circle of friends, because there's very much the convenience factor there, and those usually don't work out because usually one or both of the parties in those relationships are getting together because the convenience factor. You're always around that person to begin with. Perhaps you're working too much and you have very little free time, and it's the best person around, and it's better than being alone. No, it's not. So there's that paradox as well for INFJs. And as you get older, there's also the baggage factor. People who were perhaps previously married, have children from previous marriages, divorces, debt. I mean, there's so many things. And also, I mean, especially, as I said, INFJs are the best at making a long distance relationship work. However, how would that long distance relationship ever end if one of the two parties has children so they are unable to leave that specific area? So it does become difficult for us to continue to see hope as we get older. I would say a little more for women because, like, middle-aged men, and oh yes, 35, I have reached middle age. A lot of middle-aged men perhaps were married before, and then when they get out of that marriage, they are, not looking for anything serious. Obviously, you still have the Peter Pans are going to go for the younger women typically, but you also have the guys that are just looking, just looking for flings. They're in their midlife crisis, so to say. Speaking of midlife crises, an Indian Scout is looking pretty cool these days. I really would like to have an Indian Scout. If I can't live where I want to live, can't have the job I want to have, can't have unconditional love, can I at least have a cool and affordable motorcycle? But I digress. There's my sidebar. That all of that together, can make a INFJ, especially a demisexual INFJ, think that, well, the game's just rigged and I'm not playing anymore. I would rather, focus on my hobbies, throw myself, of course, head over heels into my career ridiculously. If you have one, I'm not so lucky. I have a job. My career was stolen from me. So, I don't have that, all important, identity encompassing, purpose driven, helping people job at the moment, which would be a common diversion for INFJs whose love life sucks. But you reach this point and you wonder, is there still hope? Should I just focus on other things in my life? Am I better off like that instead of, being somebody's short-term fling and then feeling used and stupid for falling it? Those thoughts, especially when you reach your mid-30s as an INFJ, certainly come to your mind. What I like to believe is, yes, of course, there's still a chance, but it's the improbable ones. You make it to this stage in life, if you're still looking for unconditional love, it's not going to come from the most obvious outlets. It's going to be the improbable one. And to all demisexuals of any type that are around my age, I would say if you feel like you've made the connection with somebody, even if it's improbable to work it out, take the chance. At this stage of the game, the odds are not in your favor. And you know what you want. You know who you are at this point, and you know how fucking rare that is. And you know how hard it is to find. So, take the chance on improbability. Trust your intuition if you think it's worth taking the risk, and don't sell out your integrity dating someone you don't like just to fit into a crowd. But remember, you know, just because the odds aren't in your favor doesn't mean you've lost. The coin lands on its edge every once in a while.